He's one of the most exciting middleweight prospects. And he's going to light heavyweight. Let's see what he has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event. Live from HBF Stadium Festival Hall. Melbourne Pavilion. Not even backstage, we're literally outside.
Was that the best fight card in Australian MMA history?
Call me crazy, but make sure you call me when I'm right.
Be good if the Aussie MMA Instagram page would give us a bit of glow up because...
Welcome to the Australian MMA podcast. Today's guest is Blair Bretag, a man that is not just a mixed martial arts fighter, but he's a business. He really knows how to harness the business of mixed martial arts. He's got his own personal training company, employs people, he's got videographers, content. You can check it all out on YouTube. And most importantly, he's a very super exciting fighter. Trains out of Team Compton under the great Steve Compton, alongside his now manager, Elliot Compton, who, you know, extensive Muay Thai resume and that sort of mixed martial arts career himself. Of course, future UFC fighters in Dom Marfan and John Martin Fraser, and current UFC fighters Tom Nolan and Stewie Nickel, who we find out a little bit about in this interview. Look, we get Blair's thoughts on his unfortunate loss to Cam Rouston, who featured on Dana White Contender Series. You can actually see that interview that's on this channel, on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you are. Check that out. That's a fun chat as well. We asked Blair about sort of why light heavyweight, why he's going up, sort of some of the other prospects around, even get his thoughts on Alfred Stoddart, who has sort of gone back and forth with him in the past. Look, he's a super exciting guy to not just have a chat to, but most importantly to watch. So you can check him out Feb 8th, Luke Stockman, Eternal MMA 92 in Sydney on UFC Fight Pass. Also follow him on socials. Let's hear from our friends at Vex, and on the other side, Blair Bretag.
Vex MMA has officially teamed up with PRP Global and their brand new website is now live. Head over to Vex MMA to check out their latest gear, perfect for fighters and fans alike. Whether you're stepping into the cage or just repping the lifestyle, Vex MMA has you covered.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Blair Bretag, mate, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The hardest man in the world to get an interview with. I tell you what, it's easy to get one with Tom Nolan.
Yeah. He's got heaps of free time. No, he's always training. I'm just the world's busiest man at the moment. So
you weirdly are, man. Here I was, a year ago, just thinking you were just another bald man that was swanging and banging, but you're a businessman. You got like YouTube vlog people following you around. You got like employees. You're a big deal.
I mean, I got my finger in every bit of pie that I can. I've always said that, no matter what, I'm going to make it, no matter what it is, and I'm just going to do everything I possibly can with my spare time to give myself the best chance. So, I just hate sitting around doing nothing. I get really antsy. So if I'm flat out, it means I'm happy. So yeah, I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. Like, I remember having, I worked for my dad once when I was like 18, and I was like, look, I don't know what I want to do in life, but it's not that. And everyone's like, what do you do? And I'm like, anything to avoid a real job. So it's just like anything. And it's like PT, which I've done before when I was younger. That's the closest I get to going, oh, it's kind of a real job. Everything else, we're just killing it. Just avoiding everything.
If you ask my mum, she's still waiting for me to get a real job. But I don't have enough time to get a real job. I think I've got enough going on as it is.
What do you do with your fight purse money? Does that go towards your living, or do you buy a new driver and your golf set?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sponsored by Drum & Golf now, so I get all my golf gear. Yeah, I got all the connections now.
But you're horrible. No, I'm just kidding.
The way that I played last week, yeah, I'll take that. No, I pretty much anything that comes from sponsorship or fight purse just gets reinvested. So videographers, YouTube channel. Obviously, you got the expenses of fight camp, so physiotherapists, doctors, X-rays, nutrition, whatever that camp kind of entails. So it's always a constant reinvestment in myself, in the business, and my family.
Well, I guess you are the business, aren't you?
Yes, I got to keep myself going, otherwise it all stops.
So you're telling me your manager, Elliot Compton, is not getting you free physio?
No, not yet. Elliot, take notes now.
Dork.
No, I do have a really great physio that I work with who's been with me for 2 years now, and now we've just started a partnership as well, so I can help promote her business and her new recovery center. So there's always something happening. The bigger I get, the more those opportunities come.
I was going to say, is that because no one wants to touch you because John Martin Fraser has spread the rumors that you're the smelliest fighter?
Oh man, it's not just John, it's Dom, it's Tom. Look, I'm just saying these guys have never smelt what a real man smells like. That's all I'm saying. They go home, they've had lavender lotions, and I'm just a real man out here. I shower every day. Get that out of your mind. I shower 3 times a day after every session. But yeah, it's just real man smells like a real man.
Well, he actually brought this up, which I actually think is a great topic, which is when you're and everyone that's ever grappled anyone, right? He goes, I'd rather smell BO than perfume. And it's like, now that I think about it, it's like, that's actually weirdly true. I'd rather smell
Mm.
the stinkiest guy in the world. For some reason, it feels there's nothing anything wrong with it, but it feels gayer when you can smell like when some guy's got your back and you can smell perfume, or you've got their back. It just feels weird.
Yeah, yeah, no, I see that. I see that. I think it's like a bit of a spectrum. There's smelly perfume, but then you've got the guy that uses the same training gear 3 days in a row. That's going too far. I think I'd rather perfume than fucking old training gear. I don't know. There's a line on both sides you don't want to cross.
You know the one of my favorite smells in the world. It's weird, but it's like the smell of a sweaty boxing glove. You know when you walk into a gym and you can smell sparring.
I'd say I'm glad you said boxing glove, not just box, full stop. I was worried there for a second, Mitch. I was like, oh shit, it's all coming out now.
That's my love of like grappling and wrestling. I'm like, I love
Yeah.
the smell of a box.
But yes, the inside of a glove. Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. Now, in terms of training throughout your week, like everything you do, physio, all that sort of shit, what's like the one thing you hate the most, and what's the one thing you like the most?
I hate the most. Um, I think the hate will just depend on like the moment. Like some days, an aerobic session just sitting on a bike for 45 minutes can just be fucking mind-numbingly painful. But other days it's really good because I get a lot of work done. It really just depends on the week. Uh, Pain-wise, going to see my physio and getting dry needling, yeah, that
Oh,
makes me scream like a little girl.
really?
Um, yeah, she kills me. She's laughing the whole time. It's very sadistic, but yeah, look, I enjoy every aspect of it and just learn to love the hate.
And have you got any sort of injuries that you've carried your whole life type thing that you're trying to manage?
Just his head, really. It's way too big for my body. No, no, no real injuries. Like I played a lot of high level sport growing up in high school and primary school and just outside of school, and I was riddled with injuries. I was always like ankles, shoulders. I've broken every bone in my body. I've had multiple surgeries on different things, but nothing's ever carried over as a continual thing. I've always addressed it. I've always put a lot of effort into my rehabilitation programs and come out the other side. So nothing that's ever lingered and carried on. Um, Even now, I'm much better with injury management. I think that's a big part to do with my nutrition and approach to training now. I'm very structured and dialed in with my nutrition. So recovery is so important to me to make sure that I eliminate the chance of injury. Not eliminate, I guess, give myself the best chance to not be injured all the time. But there's always little things that pop up. But yeah, nothing ever kind of crippling.
What's your thoughts on like drugs in sport in terms of like peptides to help, with injuries and all that sort of stuff? Do you wish that kind of was less frowned upon, or are you kind of all against all of that?
I think I think it depends on the sport. It depends on the culture. I don't really know enough about it to really have an opinion. I know guys that have fought in Muay Thai in the past that have done it. I know guys that have been injured and spent 3, 4 years out of like rugby league to build their body back up that they can compete again. But yeah, I really don't have enough like knowledge on the topic to really have a good, strong opinion. But I think if it doesn't compromise your sport, it doesn't compromise the legalities and things like that, sure, maybe. But yeah, I think there's a line there that it can't be crossed. But yeah, I'm not too sure, man. I don't have a very strong opinion on it.
Sure. No, I'm just kidding. Would you rather fight a guy on steroids or cocaine?
Ooh, ooh. Cocaine for sure. He'll be wild. He'll be absolutely wild. Like,
That's how you.
it'd be the most exciting fight of the night. It'd be like a 1 round fight for sure. But
Oh, so you fight like that anyway. It's just,
there's my secret, eh? There's my secret.
it has felt a
No, let's
little
just
like.
make that clear. I'm not doing that. I shouldn't joke about that on these things. You're gonna clip that one, dude,
Yeah,
aren't you?
that's the headline. Cocaine.
Yeah.
But like you've had a lot of like almost like shootouts in your fights. Do you get mad at yourself, or is that kind of how you've wanted to go into fights?
I'm all or nothing. I'm do or die. Like I'm going in there to go out on my shield. Uh, yeah, I love a pace fight. I love getting in there and just throwing down. Um, that's how I train. That's how I move. I'm just when I get in there, I'm quite aggressive and I want to just get it done. Um, and I think a little bit of that can be a bit of my undoing, but I think that's also what makes me the fighter that I am is that aggressive nature and that forward pressure. And just being able to have more composure with that aggression is the next evolution of me. Yeah, I just love getting there, being exciting. I don't want to go in there and have the crowd booing because I'm boring and I'm just touch and move and playing with my partner. I want to get in there and I want to inflict as much damage as possible. So, yeah, if that gets the fight done early or if it's an absolute swang and bang and fight for 3 rounds, then that's a win-win for me.
Nah, mate, you are extremely exciting, and your fight with Cam Rouston really was as well. What was your sort of takeaway? It's been a couple of months since that bout now. You said, you were heavily critiquing yourself about getting back in the grappling room, but like, what's your thoughts now that that bout is over?
Quite a bit of reflection on that, and it's awesome. This is the first fight, I guess, where I've had a big loss against a big opponent, and all of a sudden everyone's got their opinion on what I should change and what I should do. And the amount of messages I got from people telling me to go do some grappling, or they've got someone that they can kind of get me to coach me how to grapple and stuff. And
Really?
yeah, that's it. I'm talking pages of it, which is
Like
hilarious, right?
people or just randoms?
People I know, mutual friends. Yeah, a mixed bag, which is really really funny, right? Because I come up against a dude who's a high level brown belt, first round submissions against all walks of people, one of the most experienced dudes in the country, and I defended and defended and defended. My grappling kept me in that fight longer than I probably deserved to be. And then my opinion, my striking let me down in that fight. I should have and could have finished that, but I didn't. And Cam was able to be relentless with his grappling and take over. But I was very very happy with how I handled that. And yeah, I was just blown away by the amount of not stupidity, I guess, ignorance to the sport, or just people genuinely trying to help. But like, hey man, I'll give you some grappling tips, or I know a guy who knows a guy. I'm like, you don't understand who I train with, right? Like, we've got a room full of elite grapplers as well.
Well, it was like this thing, like I think I was like 9 or 10, and the Australian cricket team, because I grew up in Darwin, the Australian cricket team came up. This is a really weird reference, but there's a guy called Glenn McGrath who was like this really amazing bowler, and he was known as like this super shit batsman, right?
Mhm.
And then I remember watching them because you got to watch a net session, like a training session, and he was just smashing them all over the park. And as a kid, I turned to my dad and I was like, "Oh, I thought he was supposed to be a shit batter," and he was like, "No, no, no, at that level." He's a shit batter. But you take him a step down, he'll score 100. Like that was the,
Yeah.
and then that from that moment, I've always gone, okay, it's like it depends what level you're at. And that's the same sort of thing. Like people would be watching that and going, like, and even that you've joked about it, about having to get back in the grappling room. It's like you would smoke most brown belts alive type thing. It's just Cam Rouston is one of the better brown belts alive.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's absolute killer on the ground. Yeah. I think that's a great analogy. Like great example of that is just you always say there's levels to it. Well, there's levels to the levels, like,
Mm.
and that's the prime example. He is the real deal in that sense, and he deserves all the credit and respect from that, from his future opponents and myself. But yeah, it's when you sit in the crowd on your ivory tower, it's very easy to pass judgment when you're not in there with an absolute killer like that.
Yeah, it's very bizarre too because I think we've all shot a basketball, we've all played cricket at school, we've all done that, right? So then when you see it at the high level, you're like, oh, that's amazing. Not many people have fought, or if they have, they've fought someone who was like their little sister and they beat them. Like it's like
Yeah.
they've never they've never like, and it's this primal thing of like we all, I don't know if it's survival, but we all think we can fight. Like that's
Mm.
like how many people have you trained that are like, oh yeah, man, I'm thinking of fighting by the end of the year, and you're like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those sports you can't hide. You can't. It's a solo sport. You can't hide behind your team. You can't hide behind the ref. When you're in there and you realize, oh shit, I've bitten off more than I can chew. Yeah, it's the only way you can kind of get those people to kind of realize the sport is for them to try it out. And so many people when they try BJJ or Muay Thai, they do their first class, they're absolutely gassed. They go, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get it, and I love that. And that's what my whole business is exposing, or giving everyday people the opportunity to experience that.
And in terms of saying that as well, you can't then lose to Cam Roust and still go, oh, but I'm pretty good. Like you kind of have to
Yeah.
pull back and actually take a long, hard like look at yourself type thing. And did you do that? And was there anything where you went, man, I've just even in my preparation or something, I need to do this better?
No, not
Oh
not in
wow.
terms of the preparation or building up to it. I go into every fight knowing that I've ticked every single box. Like I've done my sprints, I've done this, I've done this. I'm content with going in there at my 100%. Win, lose or draw, I know that I'm at my absolute very best. I truly believe that at my best, I can beat every single person in Australia and be a world contender. I truly believe that, right? Whether that happens or not, that's not out of my power, but I truly believe that. So going in there and being outclassed, or not, I shouldn't even say outclassed, by losing someone like Cam, I'm not going to go back and think, oh, I've got to rewrite the book and change a bunch of things. No, there's a small adjustments I can make from that. I can build a bit more composure, um, adapt a little bit more, and learn from those mistakes. Cam was able to adjust on the fly, and make really strong adjustments and take over that fight and keep it fast paced. So I kept making mistakes. I, on the other hand, showed my lack of experience. I didn't adjust on the fly and I didn't account for my mistakes, and he capitalized on that. That's an experience thing. That's not necessarily a skill thing. I had all the ability to beat him, but he adjusted on the fly and I did. And now that's a lesson learned for me. So that's small little things that I can change, but I'm not changing my systems. I'm not changing the way I approach things. I'm just adding to it, trying to make sure I'm a better fighter because of it.
Well, talk about this next fight. You obviously wanted to bounce back quickly and get back in there. Is that important after a loss?
I guess so. I didn't bounce back into this fight because I lost. I bounced back in this fight because I set a goal for myself to be the number one contender in Australia to go international this year. By end of this year, I want to be the number one guy waiting, sitting there to get the call up. Um, I was healthy. I was ready. I was still hungry. Spirits weren't wavered, so it was a no-brainer to jump straight back in. I got nothing to prove because I lost. This is just another fight for me, another chance for me to get in there and keep working towards my goals. This isn't a vengeance kind of prove everyone wrong. This is me getting in there and just doing the same thing I did all last year. I did 4 fight camps last year, 3 fights. This year, I want the exact same thing. I want to be as active as possible and achieve that goal as soon as possible.
And Luke Stockman, what is it about him? I mean, what can we expect come Feb 8th?
What can we expect? Moving up a weight class, big boys throwing down, which is really exciting. My very first fight debut was at light heavyweight, so it's not like it's unfamiliar territory for me. It's been an unreal camp because I get to eat so fucking much. It's awesome. I feel like Superman. So I'm coming in there heavier, stronger, faster, and I got a great opponent in Luke. Truthfully, I haven't looked too much into Luke. I don't really care how I win. I'm going in there to get the win, and I don't care how I do it now. I've made a lot of predictions in the past, but I'm just going in there and I'm just going to be the best athlete and fighter that I can be. And whatever that entails, yeah, I'm going to get that win.
Did you move up because you were scared of John Martin Fraser?
I mean, no. I was just scared of him insulting me on the mic, telling me everyone that I'm smelly again. No, it was just I was originally going for middleweight, but I was booked for or getting booked for March, and the opportunity to step up in February a little bit earlier came about, and it was light heavyweight, so I can jump between the two weight classes pretty easy. So it was a no-brainer for me. Means I can get in faster, I already get the ball rolling for 2025, and I don't have to cut too much weight. So it's like, yeah, why would I not?
What if we call it a Christmas fight, and every year you have a light heavyweight fight at February, so you can enjoy the holidays, and then the rest of the year at middleweight?
I mean, I'm down for that. That's a great system. I can just eat whatever I want over Christmas. It's good.
Are you staying at light heavy, or are you going to dip back down to middleweight regardless?
Same mindset as last year. I did a full camp at light heavyweights last year when you were in the gym. Thanks for not spilling the beans on that, Mitch. Um, I did full camp at light heavyweight, and I was a thick boy. Um, and it's very easy for me to jump between the two. If opportunities come up, I'm happy to go. I'm happy to stay up at light heavyweight. I'm also happy to go back down to middleweight. It's super competitive in that division at the moment. It's super exciting. A lot of cool things happening. Matt Myers is back. Darcy's now the champion. We've got Stoddart and Rouston. Yeah, it's happening. Every fight show, there's at least one or two middleweights happening now, and people love it. People love the big boys throwing down. So if I can jump between those two weight classes and be the most exciting fighter on the roster, then that's what I'm going to be. That's the title I'm going to take.
Wow, you're already calling out Stoddart? That's crazy.
As soon as I said him, I'm like, oh, I've already opened up the beans for him. I can see your eyes light up. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's share the shit.
No, I won't. Yeah, I won't just yet. But as soon as that fight finishes, ooh, I'm there.
Oh, you'll be on the mic. I can tell.
All right, mate. I know you got to run. Before I let you go, how's Tommy Nolan looking, and what's Stewie Nichols' sort of spirits looking like with him having to pull out of UFC 312?
Yeah, Tom Nolan has not wavered a single bit. He's always on all year round. He could have 6 weeks not in camp and he could be ready to fight. That dude's ability to train and pull out of just greatness all the time, every single session, is really aspiring. So I think he's going to go out there in Feb and just put on an absolute clinic. He's looking really, really good. His mindset's sharp as I've ever seen it. So, yeah, it's really cool to see him not only be part of his journey stepping into the UFC, but how he's evolved over these last few fights. I really think I say it every single time, but I truly mean it. Every single fight he jumps in there, he's a whole different person. Like he's evolved so fast, and that's just a testament to his training ability and his the way that he really works his mindset. Stewie, yeah, look, it's not great having to pull out. I know he's hurting for that reason. He's loves being in the UFC. He's wanted that for so long, and he's pushed so hard to get there. And he doesn't take pulling out lightly. Like he's a true warrior. He would go in there with a million injuries, but yeah, he's still in good spirits. He's keeping his body fit, and I'm sure we could see him back on that world stage very, very soon. But it's just unfortunate circumstances for him. But yeah, he's in good spirits, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, Mr. Bretag, thank you so much for your time at Feb 8th, taking on Luke Stockman, Eternal MMA 92. I will see you there. And yeah, man, have a shower beforehand.
No shower that week. Let him feel it.
See you, bro.